Okay, we are live and we are coming up to the hour. Hopefully, everyone can see me. And since I'm coming in streaming through StreamYard, you can see me on LinkedIn. You can also see me on YouTube. And you'll be able to watch this later on if you can only catch part of it or you didn't catch the live. If you're coming in live, let me know. And if you are watching on the replay, please put hashtag replay. Would love to know who is watching. Okay, so it's just 12 and I want to be respectful of your time. So if you're coming in a little late, don't worry, you can always watch the replay. If you are watching live, that's really great. Today I want to talk about planning your 2025 life calendar. So first of all, who am I? I'm Wendy Byford. I am a corporate America escapee. I was in corporate America for 30 years, left to start my own business. And for the last 20 years, my husband and I have had a business setting up LLCs and corporations. And we teach people how not to blow them up. So that means understanding what they need to do to maintain the benefits and protections that the LLC should give them. Now, one of the things that we found in doing 30,000 filings for over 20,000 clients was that many of the people coming in were brand new, not just to having an LLC, but they were brand new to having a business. So think about that. They're starting something and they've never done anything like this before. And so one of the things that we wanted to make sure was that we could give them the best education in not only looking after the LLC, but also some tips for running their business. Now, especially if you're coming out of corporate America, it's really difficult to figure out what you should be doing with your time every day. Think about that. When you go into corporate America, you don't have the any way of determining your goals and priorities. You can give input that will go up, but usually what comes down doesn't bear any resemblance to what you send up to higher management. And so you get your goals given to you, you get your priorities given to you, and you operate accordingly. And sometimes your priority is looking after the client who is screaming the loudest because that's the way that your company operates. So you don't really have a chance to build in some of the skills that you're going to need in running your own business. One of the things that we wanted to help people with was understanding how to set up a calendar. And we started that by showing them how to set up a business calendar. Well, that kind of evolved over time to how to set up a life calendar because your business is only part of your life. And unfortunately, if you don't take the other part of your life, your personal things into account, your business has a way of creeping in and taking over. So what I want to share with you today in 30 minutes or less is how to put together a life calendar that is really going to work for you. So let me get started. So here's the simple truth. When you're creating a calendar like this, if you're really serious about doing a good job, then creating the calendar is simple, right? You get your calendar in whatever form you want and you enter everything in there. What goes into the calendar is harder to create because I'm going to challenge you to do some background work before you start to put pen to paper or type in on your electronic calendar. The last thing that almost seems impossible at first is when you get everything in there is looking at it and sticking to the calendar, because what'll happen is something is going to start screaming louder and louder and louder. Somebody is going to decide that their emergency has to become your highest priority. And you're going to be tempted to move away from your calendar. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be emergencies. Of course there are. And I'm going to give you a little tip for handling some of those. But mostly, people who believe that something is an emergency is something that can actually be scheduled and it can go in your calendar in the right place and you can handle it then. So sticking to your calendar is going to seem like it's impossible at first, but when you get used to using the calendar, when you get used to scoring how well you did at using the calendar, then you're going to find that it becomes a habit and it's not going to be as difficult as it is in the beginning. So, why is the calendar really so important? Well, the thing is that you need something that's going to not only keep track of deadlines, meetings, etc., but you need something that ensures that time is going to be given to your most important tasks every day. Now, uh, I believe it was Ivy Lee who told Charles Schwab, if you want to increase the productivity of your people, then make sure that they have a list of the most important tasks in priority, start at the first one, and then work their way down every day. And of course, that was such an important suggestion that Charles Schwab paid Ivy Lee an enormous amount of money for the time because it increased the productivity of his team so much. So we've gotten away from that by and large because our time seems to be taken away by people who believe that what they have to do is more important than what you have to do, or your fear that if you don't pay attention to those people, you're going to lose clients, you're going to lose sales. And the most important things that could grow your company often get put on the back burner. So we're going to talk about ensuring that your most important tasks get done. Your calendar can also help you to map progress on sales projects and goals, and I'll show you how you can do that. It also is going to allow you to commit to things that would otherwise be skipped. Now, we're human beings and we don't like doing things we don't like to do. If a task seems to be enormous, often we'll put it off because it just seems to be so big. And we keep thinking, well, if we push it off to the side, maybe it'll just go away. And of course, it never does. So we're going to talk about how you break things down and how you actually commit to working on those things and getting them done, because these are usually the things that will explode your business. And we're doing most of the time is looking for an excuse to say why we didn't do it, and they're foregoing all of the benefits that we could get from actually doing these tasks. And if you use it properly, you can have a life calendar, not just a business calendar. We're going to talk about that because there's a reason why you're in business. It's to create, obviously, a better life. So it's important that you get to live that life as you're growing the business. So why don't people use a calendar for planning? Well, it's a fact that usually when we're in corporate America, we're going to use our calendars to keep track of deadlines and meetings and presentations that we have to do, those sorts of things. But we don't really use our calendar for planning. That's if we plan it all, it's usually a separate document. And then, we create it, we put it in the bottom drawer somewhere, and often we forget about it, right? We're going to talk about using your calendar for planning. A lot of people don't want to be held accountable. And so putting things from their plan into their calendar now somehow makes them accountable. Did they actually do it? Did they not? Now, getting things into your calendar in the right order, in the right way, requires time. It requires thought. It requires actually having goals for the business that you're running right now. Do you have goals, and are they written down in a way that makes sense? Not some vague generality, but real, concrete, measurable goals that you can say, yeah, I did this or I didn't do this. And it also requires knowing what's important in your life. And this sometimes is even more of a challenge because although we may say that our family is important, is that something that we truly believe? Is having relationships with our friends something that is important to us? Is attending your aunt's milestone birthday important to you? These are questions that you're going to have to answer. So knowing what's important in your life is really important. Now, it also requires discipline. When the calendar is in place, right, you have to have the discipline, as we talked about earlier, of actually following it and not getting distracted by squeaky wheels or shiny objects or anything else that comes into your life. And you have to have the courage to actually do what you say that you're going to do when you put it in that calendar, because there are no excuses. Once it's down there, unless you're dead or you're dying or there's some emergency that you couldn't get around, and I'm talking about a real emergency, not a squeaky wheel, right? Then you've got no excuse for not doing what you've put on your calendar. It's also scary. It requires training others to respect your time, and in return, you have to respect yours. Because not only do people assume that their emergency has to be your highest priority, you probably do the same thing. And often we've trained people on how to treat us. And now we're going to have to go backwards and untrain them and train them to teach us differently. So the first thing is, how do you get started? Right? Well, your first thing is not to go out and buy a calendar, believe it or not. It's to get ready with all of the information you're going to need to put into that calendar. So the first thing is to get clear on what's important in your life. We're not even starting with your business, right? Your business is part of your life. And so you need to figure out what else in there besides your business is important. So are your spiritual practices important? No judgment here. It either is or it isn't. So if you're somebody that kind of goes through life without any kind of particular spiritual practice, that's your life. If you have a very strong spiritual practice and you're getting really frustrated because sometimes your spiritual practice gets interrupted by your business, then we're going to find a way to handle that. Okay? Are your family and friends important? And if so, how important? Is it okay to keep missing your child's soccer game? Is it okay to keep missing meetings that are important to your spouse? Right? How important are your family and friends? What about vacation? Is it important to you to take a vacation? For some people, if they don't get a 2-week vacation every year, then that's a real issue. I happen to like the mini vacations, which are usually no more than 5 days. Going somewhere, visiting family or friends, and then coming back quickly, and having multiples of those through the year rather than a 2-week stint. But for other people, they need to have longer vacations. How important is self-care, right? Self-development. How much time do you spend on self-development every week? How much time do you spend on your health? How much time do you spend on simply relaxing? What they've found is that a lot of times, in order to increase your productivity, it's not a matter of working longer or working harder. It's actually taking time out to do things that are not business related in order to recharge your brain, bring back that creativity so that you can go back into work and work at your capacity. Because if all you do is work, 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 eventually the returns that you're getting for the hours you're putting in are going to start to decline sharply. And it's not going to matter how much time you spend. You're not going to get greater productivity. The returns just aren't there. It's much better to take time to just relax. And so I have a rule. When I have lunch, I don't do business. I don't look at stuff on my PC. I'm not reading reports. I'm not doing anything except having my lunch and perhaps relaxing, talking to my husband. I might even watch something. I like certain things on YouTube. And so I might even be watching something on YouTube, but I'm not going to be doing business because this is part of my brain relaxation. So how important are these things in your life? You need to make that decision. The next thing is you need to know your goals. Now, this is really tough because for a lot of people, there's a lot of angst around setting goals that then go on paper and then breaking these down into things that you actually have to do. Because sometimes there's a real struggle between what you truly want, what your goal truly is, and what you think that you are allowed to have. Some people have issues with worthiness. Some people have been taught that, to want to make a lot of money is wrong. And these are things that you're going to have to deal with. So before this calendar is going to be workable for you, you need to know your goals, your true goals, things that you can really commit to, not just say that you're going to commit, not goals that somebody else is giving you or things that you think that you should actually achieve, but goals that you in your heart want to achieve. You're going to have to write down what those goals are and commit to achieving them, not just in your brain, but in your heart as well. Now, if you've never done this before, I'm going to suggest that you choose one goal. If you are a champ at achieving goals, then limit it to no more than 3. But frankly, if you've never done this, please just start with one. It's going to be difficult enough just working with the one. Once you've decided what the goal is, so let's say, for example, that one of your goals is to achieve $100,000 in revenue in your business. I'm just pulling this out of the air, okay? $100,000 in revenue. You're then going to take that goal and break it down into objectives or sub goals. So let's say, as an example, that you are selling courses. Okay, you've got 3 or 4 really powerful courses. They're fairly high priced, and so you basically sell them on webinars and from stage. One of your sub goals may be to get onto a particular stage, because if you know that, if you can get there, if you can give your presentation, your key talk, then you can sell a lot towards that 100,000. And so you really want to get on that stage. And so that may be a sub goal. You're then going to take your sub goal and break it down into actions that you need to take in order to achieve that sub goal. And so one of the actions may be to contact the decision maker, the person who decides who gets to speak on stage at the event that you want to attend, and the audience that you want to address. Now, it doesn't matter that you don't know how, okay? All we're dealing with right now is the what. Things happen when you're very clear about what. And so in each stage, you're going to be very clear about what has to happen. And so you've got your objective, you've got your sub goal, or you've got your goal, your sub goal or objective, and now you've got the action to find that decision maker. Now, if the actions are larger, you may need to break them down into specific tasks. And the specific tasks may be to find somebody who knows the decision maker, to figure out how to contact that decision maker. So find somebody who knows them, right? And that may be a matter of calling people who have been on that stage before, or people who know people, great connectors or whatever, and just asking around. And so the task may be, call 10 people a day until you find somebody who can connect you, right? That may be the task. Okay. So you're going to take your goals. Let's start with one. You're going to break it down into your objectives. Let's say that you've got 3 objectives. Okay. You're going to start with each objective, and you're going to break each objective down into the actions that you need to take. And then those actions are going to be broken down each into the tasks that need to happen per action. So when you've got this broken down, kind of like a tree, right? When you've got that broken down, you've spent some time, and this may take, if you've never done this before, this may take you like a week to do. You have to do it, walk away, think about it, come back, try it again, go away, think about it. But eventually you'll get this done. So once you've got that, look at it and start backwards and say, if I achieve each of the tasks, will I achieve the action? If I achieve each of the actions, will I achieve the sub goal, the objective? And if I achieve each of the objectives, will I actually reach my goal? And if you can say yes, that will happen, then you're good. You're ready to go. And we're going to talk about blocking out strategic times to work on these goals. Okay. So how do you start? You've got your goals now. You know what's important in your life. There's also things that are really mundane, deadlines and reviews. So take your business, figure out when you have to do your annual reports, renew your business licenses, what state and employee documents have to be filed. If you are in the habit of meeting with your CPA once a quarter, then schedule those meetings in advance. He'll love you for it. So it's not last minute. Get those down. If you're meeting with your attorney on a regular basis, get those down. Set aside time every month to do your written consents for your business, your minutes for meetings, or hold those meetings, for getting your car logs up to date, any of the administrative things that you have to do that you can't pass off to somebody else. Set aside a time. Maybe it's a Saturday morning for an hour with a cup of coffee. You just sit down, everything is quiet, and you get it done. Get that in your calendar. Goal reviews, right? So a chance when you can actually sit down and score how you're doing against your goals, and then accountability reviews. And we're going to talk about scoring for accountability. So you want to have time every week when you do a quick accountability review, and then look at the next week calendar. Okay. And you also want to have a daily, weekly, or a monthly method of operation. So these are tasks that you do repetitively. So let's say, as an example, that one of the things that you need to do is you've decided in your goals that to grow your business, for example, that you are going to spend more time on social media, you're going to build relationships on social media, and you're going to get a certain number of sales from social media. And so that may require posting every day, connecting every day, commenting every day. And so that becomes part of your daily method of operation. Every day I have to do one post, 5 connections, and 15 comments, as an example. I'm pulling the stuff out of the air, right? But this is an example. That's part of your daily method of operation. Cold calls. If you are in a business where you have to do cold calling, fine. Are you going to do 20 cold calls a day? Are you going to do 50 cold calls a day? What are you going to do? If you're going to walk the community, then how many businesses do you have to go into every day? This becomes your daily method of operation, right? Scheduled calls and follow-ups, right? If that's part of your daily method of operation or weekly method of operation, then you're going to say, okay, I'm going to have X number of calls scheduled every week. I'm going to do X number of follow-ups. That's great. So you're going to have that as part of your method of operation. Networking meetings. You might attend networking meetings. Maybe you've got them every week, every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever it is. That becomes part of that daily, weekly, monthly method of operation, that you attend these meetings, trainings, operational meetings. There's all kinds of things that fall into that every day, every week, every month method of operation. And you need to get those things down in the list so that you know that these are things that need to go onto your calendar. Okay. How do you get started then? Get the calendar of your choice. Doesn't matter if it's paper or electronic or both. I actually use both. If you have paper, get erasable pens. There are really great, colorful, erasable pens that mean that if you make a mistake or you want to change something, you don't have to start over, get a new calendar, whatever. You just erase it. It's really simple to do. Electronic, you can always choose different colors for different activities to kind of keep you on track. Then you're going to start creating the calendar. So we're going to go really quickly now because I've only got 7 minutes to complete this. So we're going to enter the life events first. You're going to block out time for regular practices, spiritual, family, self-care, those sorts of things are going to go into your calendar. And so if you have a daily meditation practice, as an example, at 8 o'clock at night, then every day at 8 o'clock at night, it just goes right across the board. You're going to put in that practice. If you eat breakfast with the family every day at 7 o'clock, that goes in the calendar. Self-care time, if you are a woman that gets your nails done every month at a certain time, then get that on the calendar. Okay, don't do last minute stuff. As much as possible, you know you're going to do this, get it on the calendar, get it scheduled ahead of time. Block time for special events like vacations, celebrations, reunions, everything that you know, and choose a color that means don't mess with this time. For me, that color is black. For you, it might be something else. Okay. Enter your deadlines and your reviews. So these are things that need to happen. Block time to do filings before deadlines. So give yourself the time to do the deadline. Don't just put it that it's due this date, right? Schedule a block of time to do the actual renewal or whatever it is that you have to do in order to meet that deadline. And also block time for reviews, including accountability reviews. So when we talk about scoring, you're going to have on your calendar, maybe it's Sunday evening, 6 o'clock or something, that you do your accountability review where you look at, what you've done and score yourself as to how well you kept to your calendar. right? So you've got your accountability reviews on your calendar as well. Pick a color that says no excuses. Okay, enter your daily method of operation block. So if your daily method of operation has 6 tasks that you have to do every day, then you're going to block out on your calendar a time block of however it's going to take you. Let's say it's 2 hours a day. Put in your 2-hour block. Doesn't always have to be the same time, right? Doesn't have to be 9 to 11 every day. It's just going to be the blocks that you put in and put in DMO, and you know what you're doing for your daily method of operation. All of those things have to get checked off for you to have met your goal of your daily method of operation, or weekly or monthly. Okay, so you've got all of that, and you know that you have to do this. So all you have to do is take the block and put in DMO. Choose a color that means regular occurrence. And tip, have an emergency DMO. So if something goes south, you can at least do the minimum. Why? Well, my husband has medical issues, and so sometimes we end up in the hospital, and I have to have an emergency DMO that allows me to do the minimum and still spend time with my husband and make sure that he's taken care of. That's important, right? We do have emergencies come up in life. So have an emergency DMO, which is just the minimum that needs to be done in order for you to stay on track or keep time until you can get back to what you regularly do. Okay, enter blocks for goal tasks. Now, these can be once or twice a week, and they're strategic. So in order to meet those goals, then you want to put in the tasks, and maybe, if it's making calls and whatnot, it's things that you need to keep up with, then maybe you put in a block 3 times a week, right? But it should be a block that allows you to make significant headway. Do not block in like 30 minutes a day, because by the time you get ramped up to do something that's important for the goal, you're going to have to be off to something else. So put it in 2 or maximum 3 times a week in a bigger block that allows you to truly make some headway and focus. Okay, enter blocks for unplanned activities. So unplanned activities, a lot of times we use a calendar link. Make sure that you've got blocks of time in your calendar when somebody can book using that link, and then you set up Calendly accordingly. And that way people can book time and there's no problem, right? This basically says to them, you can't just interrupt me when it's good for you, but you can book time on my calendar in a time that suits your calendar. So train people to contact you by text or by LinkedIn, and then when they do, send them a link so that they can book a time that works for them. Now, that doesn't mean that people can't call you. If you're not doing anything, sure, pick up the phone. But you want to make sure that people respect your time and not treat you like an assistant. They have to treat you like a professional. Enter blocks of time for admin. Everybody's got email, etc. Excuse me. And then just to understand that not all blocks need to be scheduled every day. Strategic blocks, as I said, could be once, twice, or 3 times a week. Some blocks can be scheduled more than once a day. You might want to do your email a couple of times a day. So 20 minutes here and 20 minutes there. And then match the level of focus that's required for the time of day that you're booking and when you can function at that level. So, for example, let's say that you are best in the morning. When you get up, you're ready to start 8 o'clock, you're on it. Then that's when your creativity is best. And that's where you want to focus perhaps some of your strategic work at that time, because you're really on it. So just make sure that you've got that match, and it'll work much better for you. Scoring every week, go through all of the tasks that you have and basically just check which ones you did. Then count up the number of tasks divided by the number of ones you did. That's your score. If you have 85% or higher, there's a really good probability that you are going to reach your goal. Have an objective for every meeting. Learn to say no to any contact that will not lead to a sale, or build a relationship with someone that can refer to you later. Now, these are business objectives, obviously. Learn to say no to any event that won't lead to sales eventually, and learn to say yes to events that will get you in front of your target market. This will reduce the chaos in your business and leave you time for life events. And if you got some value from this and you'd like to discuss anything further, this is how you can get hold of me, through my Calendly link or through LinkedIn. Either one will work, and I will send you a link so that you can book some time with me. I hope that you got a lot out of this, that it really was beneficial for you. And get in touch with me if you've got questions, and we'll have a chat. Hope that I will see you on another training. Take care and good luck with your business.